we need to do this too.
Un poquito más cerca.
Closer, yes.
All right.
Yes.
We are now live.
We are now live, yes.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Good afternoon.
And
Good
good
evening. Hello,
everyone.
hello.
Hello.
Here is Janet Altagracia.
With Maya Dari del Sol.
Yes, and we are here again with another Dating with Your Soul program.
Another
And
juicy topic.
Another juicy topic, and I'm sure you're gonna love this one.
Yeah, this one is
We kind of are making a parenthesis, let's say. We want to talk a little bit about the systemic analysis of this series in Netflix called Another Self.
Yes, we spent Friday watching every single episode.
Yes, we did.
We couldn't get up.
We couldn't stop.
We couldn't
stop. So if you haven't seen it, we recommend you to see it, to watch that series. But anyways, we are going to be talking a little bit about what was the whole story and what is showing us, because we will be talking about how this series shows us how our ancestors, how the ancestor stories affect the descendants, and how we all have these dreams or things that we want to manifest, and we have all of these it's like goals and visions, but they just don't happen because of our ancestors past. And it is important to analyze this series. I would say that it's going to give you a lot of insights and observations, and see how we are so connected. That is not us here talking about family constellations, or that we are talking about something that the past is not influencing the present, but it is. So that's why we are here for every Friday at 6 p.m. kind of pushing a little bit information until maybe someone says, I see how that resonates, that makes more sense. And so they made this series, and I'm so excited about sharing with you.
Fantastic.
Oh. Yes, because if you don't know how, just go and watch it. It's like some people come and say, but Maya, how is that therapy of the family constellations? So how is that happen? So, but how the whole thing happens? How can I find out about my ancestors? How? Well, watch that series. We just say, go ahead.
Explains it.
Yes. So the story began when last Friday.
Yes.
Someone sent me the link of this series in Netflix, and I'm like, okay, I'll watch it. But then I was like, oh, that's about the genealogical tree and how all of these stories of these three women have been affected by their ancestors. And I was like, well, that sounds like something to watch. And sometimes when it's Friday at night, we decide to go and watch like a movie.
We have a friendship date. That's what we have, a friendship date.
Exactly.
So we'll watch a movie, or we'll go out, we'll hang out. We have fun, because that's what this is about.
Yes.
So I said, well, let's check it out. We were really intrigued. It was about family constellation. And oh my God, when it started, we were like, our jaw dropped. First of all, I was excited to see that people are producing films like that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It shows how awakened people are becoming. I think they are from Germany. No, where they're from?
No, Turkey.
Turkey. They're from Turkey.
From Turkey.
Mm-hmm. It was so, it's spoken in Turkey, but you can listen to it in English. So if you go into Netflix. Okay, so we had it in English with Spanish subtitles. So just so you're aware, but it was just fantastic. It was thorough. They explained it. You were able to follow, and just be ready that when you see it, you might not want to stop and see all 8 episodes. I think we went to sleep at 4 in the morning.
4 in the morning.
Or something like that, because we did it after the live. So yes. it was that intriguing. It'll keep it. So it was good. It's well worth watching.
Yes, definitely. So we highly recommend it. Yes. But today we are going to be talking a little bit about, I'm going to give you a brief synopsis of the whole story, so you can understand, and the systemic analysis of each of these stories.
No spoiler alert, though.
Huh?
No spoilers.
No, no spoilers. All right, so let's begin. The story begins when there is this woman. She is a doctor. She is a surgeon, actually. She's a surgeon.
Mhm.
And she's getting a prize, like
Yes,
like a
an
prize,
award,
an
a major
award,
award for
mhm,
what she studied.
for
Yes.
what she does,
Mhm.
and all of it. And then her friend comes to be part of that event. And because this friend of hers, she has cancer. And so one of them is the doctor, the other one is a lawyer. Actually, the one with the cancer has is a lawyer.
Mhm.
And we are going to actually understand why she chose to be a doctor and why the other lady chose to be a lawyer.
And then of course we always have the third friend.
Yes, we have a third friend, which is more like spontaneous and crazy and
And
funny
free and
and free.
liberating and
Yes,
yes.
yes. So we're gonna talk about those three stories. Each
Mhm.
of them has a background, ancestral background that is affecting them. So let's talk a little bit about the first one. Her name, oh no, but before we begin, I captured this from the store from the whole. Oh, you don't know English? Well, actually, if you don't, Uva, I did this same program yesterday, so you can go to Mayadari del Sol in Spanish and you can watch it. Sí,
Mhm.
Uva, puedes ir al canal de Mayari del Sol en español. Lo mismo que vamos a hablar hoy, lo hablamos anoche. Y ahí puedes ver el análisis sistémico de la serie. Bueno, all right, so let's continue. I like this part of what they say. It says that the black, the black box,
Mhm.
when an airplane, let's say that the airplane can fall, but the
Right.
only thing that will keep everything that is in there is
Everything that happened.
that happened is in the black box,
Mhm.
right? So she says that the black box never loses the information.
And that is so true.
And so our black box is our unconsciousness. Yes.
Like I
So
love it.
yes, so it has all of our information, the one we don't remember, the
Mhm.
one we are not aware of, but that is there because it's part of ourselves, it's part of our story. We don't remember it, we don't even know it because we might not know a lot of things about our ancestors, but it is there in the black box, which is our unconsciousness. Hmm? Also, at the beginning, there is a question that the lady is saying, could it be possible that our past stays in us somewhere? Yes, it does. And we talked before about epigenetics and how those memories of the past are within in our genetic information. So she says something like flavors and smells and moments. All of them are waiting for the moment to be remembered again. Mm. And so the story begins when there is a girl, she's about 5 or 6 years old, and
Mhm.
she is in the carousel,
Mhm.
and she is with her father. Her father is outside, and she's looking at her father. Her father is waving at her, and she's so happy. It's her birthday, right? And she points to her dad that she wants a pomegranate. So the father says, "Yes, I'm gonna go get you the pomegranate." So when the girl comes out of the carousel, he's like giving him the fruit, and all of a sudden, this other man out of the blues comes and kills her father. So the next scene, you see the pomegranate falling into the floor, and also the fire falls into the floor, and then the girl is seeing the whole scene, right? She's about to eat that, and that thing falls. So the smells, the moments, the everything, the fruit, the taste, when something was traumatic and that moment was traumatic, everything that was around happening, your perception of the moment sometimes somehow becomes that you want to reject that or you block it because it doesn't bring a good
It's not good memory.
memory.
But
Yes.
meanwhile, it got ingrained in you because it was a trauma.
Yeah, it gets ingrained, but you want to block it because you don't
Mm-hmm.
want to remember it and you don't want anything that was involved in that to remember that moment.
Mhm.
So even a fruit can bring us a moment that we didn't like from the past today. And maybe we avoid eating that. So that was the case of this woman. Her name is Sevgi. When she was a girl, she was that girl. And what happened there is that once the dad died, then the mother comes. But then the scene in the scene, right, you see that she was feeling guilt. And she felt guilty that it was my fault that my father died because of me.
Can you imagine
Yes.
growing up with such a feeling like that?
And then she said, because when she went to visit this man who used to be the therapist, she said, well, that day I felt like everything was coming apart. I was coming apart cell by cell. That's why she got cancer.
Notice the words she said.
The words
She was coming
coming apart
apart
cell
cell
by
by
cell.
cell.
And if my father died, I'm going to die as well. I deserve to die with him. And in the scene also, this little girl has get an opportunity to watch or to see the guy who killed the father. So if you see the way she was looking at the guy, she showed hatred. It's like, I hate this man who killed my father.
Mm-hmm.
So what work does Sevgi needs to do? She needs to reconcile that memory in order to transcend it. And cancer, and when we talk about cancer, and I think it was in the liver, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
is anger. The liver is connected to anger, right? And
Mm-hmm.
cancer is mostly related to anger.
Mm-hmm.
So when she went to the field, when we talk about the therapy of family constellations, she had to include the perpetrator, which is a work that most people don't want to do
We
because
don't like it.
yeah, we feel like, oh, this person causes damage
Pain.
or pain or suffering or whatever it was. So the first tendency is to reject and to exclude and
Mm-hmm.
to hate and to all of it. So she actually said it, I became a lawyer so I can put criminals in jail. So I can put the criminal, the one who killed my father, in jail. See, that's the memory of the child. I am going to create justice for all because she thought that was unfair, you know? And so at that moment, also, what happens is that the mother comes. And when the mother comes and she feels guilt because I'm the guilty one here, then she starts carrying her mother. Like, my mom is abandoned and she feels so bad because of me. So I'm going to be carrying my mom's pain. I have to take care of my mom. I have to make sure my mom is always with me. I have to. So this girl already is carrying all the burdens of her mother because she feels it was her fault.
Maybe when she was only 6, but
Yes.
so I guess.
So let's talk about Sebji's dreams. She had two dreams. One was to be healed, right? She wanted to heal cancer. And the second one was to have a spouse.
She wanted to find her soulmate.
Yes, she wanted to find a partner, but
Mm-hmm.
she couldn't. Why? Because of this memory. The first time, when the movie starts, she was clean of cancer. And then when she goes to the hospital, it happens that she somehow recreated again the disease. So the metastasis happened again. And then her best friend, which is the doctor, tells her, you cannot go anywhere. You need to go to the hospital, take the medicine. We need to make you this test and all of what, involves that. But Sebji had already gone to the internet and had found out about this family constellations therapy, which they call, by the way, spiritual healing. They don't call it family constellations in the series. They say this spiritual healing, ancestral spiritual healing. And so she was called to that. And so she called that crazy friend and said,
Mm-hmm.
come pick me up because I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to go see this guy before getting into chemo, before getting into other things about cancer, I want to go see this guy. So her girlfriend goes to pick her up, and then the doctors finds out that they are going to fly, away from the hospital, tries to, stop them, but at the end she says, "No, I'm gonna do what she's asking for. If she's got cancer again, and if she feels that that's her call, I'm gonna just go take her there." So the three of them go into this adventure of going to see the guy, the therapist who is doing the family constellations.
Now, keep in mind that the doctor is totally skeptical.
Yes.
She's just going because, in a sense, she wants to prove the friend wrong.
Yes.
And she's skeptical. She's trying to protect her.
Yes, I'm trying to protect her. And she is also a scientist.
A scientist, of course.
So if it doesn't have anything that has to do, like has been proved, then it's not really worthy of even time. But they go there to this city. All of this is happening in Istanbul, and then they go to another town close to Istanbul, and where this guy lives. And so she goes into his house, and she goes into a sort of a little session where he tells her, "Well, you have hate, and you need to heal this." And so what she needed to do was to reconcile the perpetrator and the father. So they brought the whole constellation layout. Like, let's explain how the constellation happens. There is a group of people, right? And each person is going to represent someone from that family system or from that story of whatever it happened in the past. So let's say he asked for someone to even represent the person who came for the therapy, which is Sevgi. So choose someone to represent you. So she chooses someone, and the person stands in the field, right? And starts feeling everything that she felt when she was that child at 5 or 6 years old, and everything she was feeling. Then he asked her to choose someone to represent the father and someone to represent the guy who killed the father. And so the beauty of this constellation was that the perpetrator, the one who killed the father, actually in the constellation said, "I didn't mean to kill him. I wanted to scare him, and it happened that I killed him." And so there was a sort of a forgiveness because she saw everything from another point of view. In constellation, what really heals is changing the perspective, changing the point of view that this guy was really regretting and was really like really asking for forgiveness because that wasn't his intention and it just happened. See? So at that moment also this little girl got to release that hatred that she had with this man and include the guy, and at the same time have this reconciling moment with her father, where the father laying down on the floor tells her, "The only thing that you can do for me at this moment is to live your life to the fullest and to love and to be free," he said, and to become, be happy. He asked her that, "If you really want to make me happy, I want you to find happiness." At that moment, the whole releasing happened. And that's what happens in constellations. The father liberated this girl from that guilt. And also there was a reconciliation, and the father reconciled with this guy as well. So the whole process ends right there.
And the beauty is that all of that Maya said is shown in the field.
Yes.
So the people that are, representing whoever they are supposed to represent, literally, it's like they get in them in a sense. And it shows because it's like none of this is known. So you see it. And it's so beautiful to see how the field shows everything.
Yes. What is it showing there? The emotional resonance of what happened between each of these characters that are there in that scene. See? And how that happens? Because when a memory happens, let's say a trauma, if it wasn't solved, it is pulsating. It's got a pulsation. And what happens is that the feel, when you stand in the same scene of what happened generations before, everybody starts feeling what the ancestors felt.
Mhm.
And that's how that happens, because the body, our body, holds all the information of our ancestors. All the information of what happened to our ancestors is within each of us.
Mhm.
All of their stories are within each of us. So we have the information in our black box,
Mhm.
in our unconsciousness. We just don't remember it. We are not aware of it. We haven't been able to bring that information from the unconsciousness to the consciousness. But we do when we do a process of family constellations, right?
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. It's
Yeah,
fascinating.
so that's how it happens. It's got this sort of mystery, right? This is sort of a mystery, but it's not at the same time. It has been proved how the morphic fields work
Mhm.
and how the epigenetics also talk about how we are carrying all of this information in our DNA. So the information is there. It's just asleep. We don't recognize it, but we are living it, especially the unconscious part that affects us negatively. We don't see it, but it comes from before. It's not us. It was from before. We are carrying everything that wasn't solved in the past.
And sometimes you're the one that choose to bring it to the light,
Yes,
and therefore different experience happen to you so it can be brought to the light. What a gift.
it is a gift. Yes. So in this case, I'm talking about the orders of love, right?
Mhm.
We needed to do an inclusion because we
Mhm.
all belong to the system. And if someone comes to interfere in your life, whether it's positive or negatively, it already, or he or she already belongs.
In the system. Yes, yes, yes.
Belongs in the system because it changed the course of your destiny. That person already belongs. And if we don't integrate or include this person, this perpetrator is going to keep coming and showing in my life again, or in the life of my descendants, until someone does the inclusion or the reconciliation. That's how it works.
And those are the repeated patterns, because that pattern will continue to repeat itself until you become aware of it and do the healing for it.
Exactly. And we are seeing here Alexander and Chinatere and Gloria and Kelly, Sean and Christine and Uva. Bueno, we are seeing them. We are seeing you all here. Thank you for being so present.
Yes.
Okay, so let's continue. When they finish this process of the constellation, the therapist, his name was Saman. Saman tells Sevji, okay, or the person who is representing Sevji tells her, okay, take one step forward.
Mhm.
And then she takes one step forward, but she cannot take the second step forward. And so he said, we're going to end the session here, but there's something that hasn't been able to be done 100%, and it's got to do with your mother. So she reconciled her father, which was the cause of the cancer, but she still needed to heal something with her mother,
Mhm.
right? That was connected to the couple.
Mhm.
And we're going to talk about why the mother is so connected to this child that she couldn't find a partner for her. So
Mhm.
let's talk about that one. When the scene happens, where the father is, on the floor and the girl is crying, the mother comes in the scene. And this girl feels like, oh, it's my fault. I made my mom sad because they killed my father because of me. So I'm gonna carry my mom's pain, my mom's suffering, and I'm going to make sure she's not gonna suffer or be alone because of what happened. So she says that at that moment when she noticed that she was carrying her mother energetically,
Mhm.
and she also said, when I noticed that I was being the the husband energetically, the husband of my mother. So I was being replacing the father that she lost.
Mhm.
So I'm not gonna be able to find a partner because it's my fault. So I'm gonna stay here next to her. So there's no room for a new partner to come into her life because her mother is already that partner energetically. See, people don't see it. We want to say this because all of this happens energetically.
Yeah, that's the key.
Yeah, I want to mention this again because it all happens energetically. She was married to her mother. And the mother, of course, was very protective and controlling. And of course, because her mother had an issue of abandonment.
And she kind of eliminated any guy that was trying to get close to her daughter.
Yes.
Made it pretty difficult.
Yes, 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 yes. So
she was not having it.
No, she was not having it. So let's talk a little bit about that. She, when she noticed her daughter got better because she got to, let's say, the cancer went away after this session, after she said, "You're the mother and I'm the daughter, and this is too much for me to carry. I'm gonna give it back to you, so you can take care of that. It's not my part to take care of that." Those are the type of words we use in family constellations because those are healing words, and we use those phrasing in constellation work.
They're very liberating.
They are very liberating, and they cause a great effect at a cellular level, emotional level, mental level, energetic level, in all levels. See, we use the scene and we also use the wording to do the reconciliation process. So this man comes to the scene, right? And he wants to be with her, and she finds out that she finally decides to be with this man, right? So what happens is that this man, let's talk about him. His name was Fico. I remember. His name was Fico.
He wanted to squeeze his cheek. You know what I mean?
Yes, he was so beautiful, so nice. He was such a nice guy.
Gentle, simple, but just such a gentleman.
Yes. But let's see the story of this man. This man felt like, but what am I going to offer this woman? She's a lawyer and I'm a no one.
Yeah, he owned a restaurant.
He owned a restaurant, but he didn't really feel worthy of her. And he had problems and issues with money, with his finances, with it's like all things that had to do with his economy and finances was all unstable. He couldn't really have like money would come and go. The business didn't go well. And when we talk about money, actually money and finances and all of it, we are talking about the father. So let's just connect information.
Juicier.
Yes, it gets juicier. So he hasn't been able to forgive his father because of what happened in the past. And so his story is that when he was a child, his mother, one time she left, doesn't say why, but she one day just, grabbed everything and left them. So it left the father and left the two children, and one of them was him. And then he said that every day he was waiting for his mother to come back. So this child is got a memory of abandonment from the feminine. See? So it's hard for him to find also a woman, but also to make money because of the father. Because what happened was that the father, he said that one day the father came home with a woman, but that wasn't mom. That was another woman. But this woman wasn't really a sweet mother. This mother was mistreating these children. She was abusing them. She would hit them and beat them.
She was cruel.
She was cruel. And so these children had to go through all of it. And he said that he was expecting his dad to protect him at a certain point. But one day, he asked the father, and the father turned to the woman and said, well done, honey. So he said that I cannot forgive my father after that. And so he had an issue of my father betrays me, and he chooses this woman before us.
Rejects him as well.
Rejects him. So he had gone through the process of constellation, and Saman, the guy, the therapist, was telling him, well, you already constellated that. Did you already call your father? He
Mhm.
needed to do this reconciling process with his father in order to include him and
Mhm.
integrate everything as it was. The working constellations had to do with include the destiny. Let's accept the destiny as it was
Mhm.
between our parents and us, and all of their stories, even though they were harsh and difficult,
Oh
even though
gosh.
for us it was harsh and difficult. They just did the best they could. Maybe this father thought that bringing another woman could be the solution for that house.
Give them a mother figure,
Yes, give them a
which
mother
is kind of
figure.
normal. That's what they think.
Yes, but see, it didn't go maybe the way it should have, or it could have, right? That doesn't exist. So that was what happened. And so he, at certain point when he could, he left, he went to the army, and he never came back home. And
Mhm.
so he needed to heal the relationship with his father.
Right.
Makes sense? That's
Mhm.
why the money wasn't flowing. And he was having so many issues with men. Remember, there was a man in the movie that was kind of flirting with this woman, with Sergi, which he likes. And he actually threw the guy out of his restaurant because the guy was complaining. The guy was complaining. So he was seeing his figure, his father figure in this man. So he threw the man away.
Wow. Yeah.
And so this man actually sent like a notice
Mhm.
to pay a fee, and he didn't have the money to pay for the fee. So little by little, he was kind of losing the business, and it just wasn't enough. He ended up losing his restaurant.
Yeah.
Mhm. So when he heals his father, he goes to the therapy and he does the work of doing the reconciliation process with
Mhm.
his father. Finally, one of these three girls that we're going to be talking about, the crazy one, the funny one, got an inheritance, and she decides to invest in his business, and they get like a partner, like
Mhm.
a
Yeah,
yeah, a
partnership.
partnership. And so he finally gets to recover from his situation when he forgives. And that's the whole process of healing with
Mhm.
that relationship with his father. And so the restaurant opens back again, and then
Mhm.
they marry. Sevgi and Fico, they marry. But guess what? The story doesn't end very happy, but that's a no happy ending. Which I love, that this story is not about happy endings. Like
It's
everybody's
about
like,
real life,
it's about real life. So
so
the day they married, her mother, Sergi's mother, put a letter in her suitcase, and when she opens up and reads the letter
reveals a huge secret. Because remember, the therapist was saying, there's some mystery around you. There's some mystery,
about
and
the father, something that
about
the mother haven't been able to
said
heal or
about the
said.
father, about the father.
Well, the secret was that this man that she thought it was her father wasn't her biological father. And so she told the girl the truth. She said, well, the father that you thought it was your father is not. And this was the story. When I was my whatever age, I went into this store and I met this man, and this man was a revolutionary man, and he got killed, and I was pregnant of him. So that's your father.
Can you imagine? Yeah. So
And she faints, and then at the same time she goes back to having cancer again. The metastasis goes back to her body, because that's her alarm to tell her this is what you need to heal.
I love that. The cancer was the alarm
Yes.
to get the truth
and
out. Oh
and
my God.
and any disease
It's an
that people
alarm.
carries is an alarm of something, an emotion that hasn't been resolved, an issue that hasn't been resolved, an unresolved memory from our ancestors that we are carrying appears in the body because no
Mhm.
one had been able to identify it, and it needs to be resolved in order to be transcended.
Mhm.
So actually, any disease or any condition in the body is our friend, let's say, because Bert Hellinger in family constellations used to say that there are only two directions,
Mhm.
and one is towards life and one is towards death. But disease don't want you to die. Disease wants you to find out why is happening in your
They
body.
want you to wake up.
The disease wants you to find out why you got sick.
They'll be sick.
Yes, so
We
that's the
see.
job of a disease. So it's better to embrace it, because there was a point where Sebji goes to the therapist, and the therapist asks her, so Sebji, would you consider to make this disease like your friend? And at the beginning, she was like, no, I want this thing out of my body. She was rejecting, she was excluding. I don't want that. I have hate this. But as we can see, this disease was showing her everything she needed to heal emotionally and from her and of her ancestors who had secrets.
Yes.
And all of this that we are talking about right now. So
The secrets.
the secrets.
What the secrets do.
Yes,
You know,
what
we
secrets
hold them,
do.
but they can create a lot of damage.
Yes, 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 yes. So see, now we can see the whole scene.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It was fascinating to watch.
Yes. So let's go to the second story, which is, let me see. Let me see. The second story is Ada. Her name is Ada.
Ada.
And Ada is the doctor, is the surgeon woman who is a scientist, right? And she, when they go to the session for the first time, she gets mad. She's like, what is this? This is all fake. And I'm going to sue this guy
She was
because
gonna report him.
I'm going to report this guy because this guy is just talking things that haven't been proved. And he's like giving people illusions that don't exist. And I'm going to report him. See? So she goes there, but then her friends are like, okay, we are going to do certain things that you want to do, but you need to go to the session as well. And Ada has an issue, and the issue she has is with her partner. She has issues also
In
with
her
her in
marriage.
her marriage, right? With betrayal. Let's talk about betrayal. She is the queen of betrayal.
Repeats it and repeats it
Yes,
and
a
repeats it.
repetitive pattern of betrayal. So let's talk about where this betrayal comes from. So she's married to this guy who is a really good guy, right? He was for her when she was going through a difficult moment. So she decides to marry this guy because he wanted to save her from that situation she was going through. But she wasn't really in love with this guy. He was just
The good man.
a good
The
man, but
rescuer.
the rescuer. He was the rescuer. So she married the rescuer, but she didn't love this man. They were just like roommates. She didn't want to have children with him. Actually, she applied to go for a 2-year contract out of the city, and she was just finding excuses not to be with him.
Mm-hmm.
But it would seem outside that it was a perfect relationship, but it wasn't, because she really, when it came to that, a connection of a partner, a spouse, she didn't have that with him.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about what happens, right? When she tells her that she wants to go, she got the contract, right? Because she's a surgeon, but she's having a problem. And I'm going to talk about the problem. She's a surgeon, and when she starts operating, she starts shaking, and she doesn't know why that shaking hand is happening, but she's having that issues with that hand, and she doesn't want to tell anybody because she's about to get that contract.
She's hiding it.
She's hiding it, but she doesn't also understand why she's shaking.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she's trying to, let's say, manipulate her husband to tell her that it's only 2 years and I won't be able to have babies, but we can, fly and see each other and this and that. In other time, her husband tells her that she had slept with another woman. Betrayal, which he wouldn't have done in the first place. But since she wasn't really the wife, he went outside to look for someone and had an affair with this woman. And then he just wanted to let her know that it had happened. Because that night she was all like looking so beautiful, and she was trying to have a romantic moment to tell him, well, I'm gonna leave, but this and that also.
A whole lot of guilt when you
Yeah,
think about it.
of course. It's like I want to leave, but I don't want to tell him why. But I got this contract. That's the perfect opportunity for me not to be there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we look for ways to escape, and we don't want to be honest. We want to kind of be blind to
Mm-hmm.
what we really feel,
Mm-hmm.
or to tell the other how I feel because I don't want to hurt the other one who helped me so much, who saved me when I needed the most.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the perfect moment for her to leave this relationship. And I want to say something else here. She created that.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that we create our own reality. So unconsciously, she recreated that her husband cheated on her, but also because she wanted to leave that relationship.
That
So
gave her the perfect out.
yes, but it's all unconsciously. We
Mm-hmm.
create this story unconsciously. We attract all of that in our lives because we are not aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes to, where Salmon is, right? And look at the story of what she found out. The thing happened like this. Her mother, by the way, she had issues with her mother as well, because when her father was about to die, she
Mm-hmm.
was in school for medicine. She was going for medicine, and when her father was about to die, one day her mother was in the room, and all of a sudden the mother packs everything and leaves and don't say anything. And Ada was like, well, how can my mom leave my dad
Mm-hmm.
when he needs the most?
When he needed her the most. Yeah.
And she didn't say one word. She just left. And so she couldn't forgive her mother for what she did.
Mm-hmm.
But it was that the father told her something that maybe it was so painful that she didn't even want to talk about. She just left. Ada didn't know about it, but I'm gonna tell you what was the secret. There was a secret as well. So
Mm-hmm.
let's see what happened in her ancestors' story that affect her. It happened that her mother had a sister, and this sister was killed by her father. In me saying this, her grandfather killed her own daughter because of this. This was like a moment of revolution where they used to live. And this woman, let's say her aunt, she was expecting this man who was a from the military, and she heard someone outside saying, well, the war is over, the revolution is over. And she was like, oh, my love is here. So she
Mm-hmm.
prepared and put a flower, like a red flower on her head. And she was so, and she went and
Excited.
ran to the door to open the door. And there were the revolutionary people.
Oof.
So they got into the house and abused her and beat her and turned everything, like chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So when her father comes in the house and sees this scene, she grabs him and say, Papa, you're here for me. And so
Mm-hmm.
the father is like, he doesn't even touch her or hug her or anything, because in his perspective, someone dishonored. It was a
Mm-hmm.
disgrace that this woman got, abused.
An injustice.
And no one is going to accept her. As it's not like no worthy. This woman is not a is not worthy anymore, and someone is going to talk about her, and they are going to be talking about her, and it was about the revolutionary people who did this. So the guy says, okay, we got to go to another town, and he has a rifle. How is it,
A
rifle?
rifle,
A
yes.
rifle.
Uh-huh.
So they are walking through this field of poppies. Is that the flowers that are red?
Yes, I think, yeah. Yes.
And so Ada used to have this dream of walking in this field with red flowers. So at a certain point, the woman stops and says, but Papa, where is mom and where is my sister? And he
Mm-hmm.
turns around and he starts like shaking his hand.
Mm-hmm.
That's why she was shaking the hand. He
See.
was shaking his hand, and he just put the rifle and says, just pray, daughter, because if I take you to this town, people is going to kill you anyway, so I'm going to kill you first. Boom. He killed her. So we would say that this could be out of love.
Yeah,
So if
in
I
his
don't kill
eyes.
you, they will kill you.
So might as well out of love.
Yes. So this moment creates a memory of betrayal. My father killed me. Or a father or a man, a masculine, the one I can trust the most instead of protect me, kills me. So it is a story of betrayal. Can you see that? So that happens that also the man leaves, right? And the daughter
Woman.
stays there. And um, her sister was watching and comes closer and hugs this woman. So this little child is also watching that her father, I cannot trust in men. My father just killed my sister. So betrayal again. We cannot trust in men. They cannot trust in men. And of course, there's a sort of a exclusion as well, right? There is exclusion, there is betrayal, and all of it. So Ada is living these stories with men, the couple. See, she is a woman and she's looking to have a man who can be loyal
To her. Yeah.
to her, and it doesn't happen. Why? Because men betray women, and this was a story from her ancestors' past.
It was conditioned in her already,
Yes.
and she wasn't aware.
She wasn't aware. So when she goes to the constellation with Salmon, which is this guy, she's in the field and she's feeling all of this, and then he asks if someone was killed,
Yes, yes,
and then
yes.
she says, no one has been killed. Oh yes, someone was killed. So she leaves. It's like this is all.
Upset.
She leaves upset, and then she calls her mother. Is there someone who got killed that we don't know, that I don't know about it?
And what did the mother do?
Oh no, no one.
She kept a secret.
She kept that secret. So she was like, see, no one got killed. He failed. That constellation is not really true. So later that day, the mother comes in this town and tells her, listen, after I heard that story, I didn't know how you find out or found out about this, but this is what happened. And this was my mom's story. So her mother, um, somehow, when she saw this story, also, there is no mother because the mother wasn't there. There is no sister. I don't know how this mother got to survive, but she did. She became very strong and got to survive. And so she worked so much. She had her daughter, right, and sent her to school because she's expecting this daughter to become someone, right? No man, we don't need any man to give us anything. Right. We can do it ourselves. So these women that are too, let's say, some people tend to say so independent or so strong, I don't need any men, have issues with if I need to be so strong, and I'm excluding somehow the masculine. See, it's like men are not really important because they betray or they abandoned any of those two.
Right. And she used to do that with her, spouse. She
exactly. That's what she did. Exactly what she did. Exactly. So her mother appears in town and tells her, well, I want to tell you the truth. And this was the story between me and my mother. So Ada's mother is telling her the truth and also telling her her story with her mother was that she fell in love with this man, but this man lived out of got a contract out of town. And he proposed to her, I don't want to go by myself. I want you to marry me and so we can go together. And she comes so excited to tell her mom about it. And the mother comes and snap her on the face and said, I didn't pay for your study for you to get married. But anyway, she leaves and goes with this man. And then she comes back in town and then she has Ada. And what happens here is that the man wouldn't come or wouldn't call, so he stayed out of town. So that was Ada's father that was out of town. That relationship was apart. See, she was actually looking to do the same, to have a relationship where you live in one city and me in another city, and they might have also other relationships, and that was the case. The case was that the mother was telling, the daughter is that, oh, your husband might be cheating on you. Your husband don't come because he's hiding something, because they all betray, because they all do this, because men do this. And the mother had these issues with men because she was rejecting and excluding all men. No man is good.
Right.
right?
Exactly.
No, man
Yeah.
is good. And Nada as a child is listening and she is connected to her grandma a lot, like this. Not with her mother, but with grandma.
Grandma.
See, so she's being loyal to what grandma is teaching her,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so what happens in the story is that why did the mother, Ada's mother, leaves when the father is sick? Because when he is about to die in this moment, he tells her the truth. I have another family. So
Whew.
betrayal again.
I tell you, she kept repeating it. She was
Yes.
she was a little expert at that.
Yes, and that's actually my story. I have a lot of betrayal stories. And you too, Janet, you have betrayal as well. Betrayal stories are related to you know,
Our ancestors.
and ancestors
That's
that
a lot of time. That's where
I
they
have
begin.
experienced so
Me too.
many times. I'm the queen of expertise. My expertise is betrayal and abandonment. So I feel I identify a little bit with Ada's story. Also, I became that woman that I don't need any man. I was there too, as she was. And
Mm-hmm.
so somehow I had this exclusion. So that's why it was hard for me to connect with a man because I wanted to be
Independent.
independent. I can do it all myself. I don't need a man in my life. But actually, I was afraid of someone to betray me again.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been my story for a long time.
Yes.
So, see all of this. So, in the constellation process, when she goes to Salmon again, the father who killed his daughter got to be reconciled.
Mm-hmm.
And when they got to be reconciled, Ada's hand stopped
Stop shaking.
shaking.
Can you imagine?
It's all energetic.
So, and the trigger, the alarms.
Yes, yes, yes. So the story of Ada is that when a first time she falls in love with this guy, he is a musician. And his name was, let me tell you, the name is Topra. Topra. Oh my God, Topra is a musician and she goes for it. She said, I don't wanna open my heart, but she decides to open her heart to love this man. But this man is so with his own story. Because remember that when we meet the other part, you know, we only see the beauty at the beginning. But we are not just what we see here. We are not just independent beings that are like falling in love and we are just creating a new relationship. We are also marrying our systems. When we get together, there is a system behind this person, there is a system behind this person. And when we meet at certain point, the systems start like showing,
That pulsing
pulsing
again.
again. So Topra's system had a story, and Ada's had a story of betrayal. So I attract this man that I wanna um, feel like I have stability and I can love, and this man loves her. But what happens is that he cannot be stable. Like stability is not his thing. He's always here and there, and he just drinks a lot and go does his gigs, but he cannot really commit.
And he's very gifted in his
Yes,
music.
yes. And so what happens is that the day she comes to tell him that she's pregnant, he is with another woman.
In the own
So
apartment.
betrayal. No, it was in his apartment.
In his
So
apartment, yeah.
betrayal again.
Betrayal.
So Ada decides to have an abortion of
Yes.
this baby and don't tell him the truth. And then she leaves. She doesn't come back. She's like, I'm not gonna trust in any man. And then that's when her husband appears in the scene to save her, right? And then that's why she decides to marry this man.
Out of obligation, right?
Yeah, out of like at least someone to save me. This man is a good
he
man.
did love her.
Yeah, he loved.
He loved her a lot.
Kind of, kind of. Let's talk about the husband story. The husband story. I think his name was Celine. Celine, when he was a child, Celine's father said that this child is not a good child. He's not intelligent. He's not a good child. He's not going to be able to make it in life. So he didn't trust that this child could be someone.
Right.
And the mother was like, what are you talking about? She used to, protect the child and say, no, he's very intelligent. He's doing good in school. I don't know why you're saying that. And all of a sudden, a temblor starts to happen. And then the child calls, mom, mom, mom. And mom comes to protect the child, but she dies there. So his story is that I couldn't save my mother. So at least I'm going to save Ada, my wife. And when he went into the constellation process, the guy told him, so you're trying to save your mother through your wife.
It was so beautiful to see.
And he got so mad. He left.
Yeah.
He didn't believe it. And so he had the wound of abandonment as well, and wanting to save, being the rescuer of the other. But he couldn't because love doesn't happen that way.
Yeah, no, it's not
See?
like that.
And Ada didn't love this man. She really loved the musician. But the story of the musician, just listen about the story of the musician was like this. It happened that the musician, Topra is his name, Topra's grandfather was a gypsy guy. They were a gypsy tribe, and he was like the chief of that tribe. And one night, the police comes and take his grandpa in jail, accuse him that he killed someone when he hadn't. He wasn't really guilty, and they actually hang him, like they kill him because of that, a crime that he didn't commit. Well, his father, Topra's father was the son of this grandpa, right? This son is with no father, with no family because the mother wasn't there. It doesn't show what happened with the mother, but he has to go with the tribe, with the gypsy tribe, and he feels like I don't belong here. I don't have a place for me. Where are my loved ones? And also the grandpa was in jail saying, I'm feeling alone. My loved ones left me. My tribe left me. I don't feel like like he was just left alone to his destiny. And that was what Topra was doing. He had issues with the law. He had anger because they took his father and they killed him. And then they found out that it wasn't him. They found the guilty one after they had killed him. So something that was unfair, injustice again, injustice happened there. And no one said, at least I'm sorry, right? So this child is repeating the story of his grandpa. He was identifying with grandpa.
Totally.
Yes, so he ended up in jail because he hit Ada's husband. He hit also the boyfriend of the mother of the only child he thought he had, right? Was who was in another country. He was trying to get there. He wouldn't get the papers to go and travel because he had issues with the law and the father. This is an issue. All issues that are related to papers, contracts, finances, monies, law, also the law, everything that has to do with the law is the father. So he needed to heal that. And so the constellation was so beautiful because everybody got aligned there. Everybody got aligned there. Like it was Sopra, his father, which also they didn't have a good relationship because his father wasn't trusting in him either. It's like you don't know one because you're playing the guitar, and he actually threw his guitar and he couldn't be a musician, but he was a musician in his heart because he's yes. And so it was Sopra, his father, his grandfather, and he got to do a constellation work to heal all of those the masculine ancestors, and to liberate them from what they couldn't be free of. And so he finally got his papers. Actually, he got his visa, and he got to get out of jail when he constellated his father and the story of his grandfather who was in jail and got killed unfairly. Isn't that amazing?
I
Oh my
love it.
God.
The way everything interconnected, the way it showed you how the past and the pattern that was repeated and it was triggered to you so that you can start awakening and seeing it. It was just really amazing.
It was so beautiful to watch. And the last story is about Lila. Lila, let's talk about the last story. I know we're taking a little longer, but we want you to have the whole thing here. So Lila, she doesn't have a profession, but she's, let's say, dependent
She's a
of,
mom.
she's a mom, but she's dependent emotionally and financially of her husband.
Like, oh my God.
I want to get my boobies done. I want to look beautiful. I'm learning pole dance. I'm doing everything for him because I don't want my
She was,
husband to leave me,
even though she knew
even though she knew he was cheating on her
all time.
all the time. Yes. So this is a woman who is dependent on this man and doesn't want to find her own power to become herself and to, she didn't even know all the talents she had. Actually, she had an Instagram account, right?
She
Where
had
she
a
would
lot
come
of
there.
talent.
She wouldn't see herself, but everybody was following her. But she only wanted her husband to see her. See how interesting that is? And so she couldn't see it that way. And her husband had issues with the also with the law. He used to do businesses that were like kind of dirty businesses, and he
Illegal.
ended up being in jail because of, they were looking for him because he had issues of stealing and cheating and all of that.
And all she wanted to do was protect them.
And she wanted to protect him because she wanted to protect that marriage. But let's see why. Let's see her story. It happens at a certain moment in the story. She's gonna go into the water, into the ocean, and she stops. She has a trauma with water. It's like she cannot swim, and she cannot go in the water because she has a fear of being swimming, a swimming trauma.
Drowning, yeah.
And she doesn't know where that comes from. So her story is that her grandma, she was from Turkey, Greek. And something happened in that moment of the history where the Greeks were uh, like, they had to leave Turkey. I don't know what happened there, but they had to leave Turkey. And so her husband left with the two children she had. And it happens that she had to stay because she was Turkish. And so when there is a man who is about to live in this
huge boat.
Yeah, it's like a boat or something like that, and she was begging him, said, "Please take me to Greece because I really want to stay with I want to go back to my husband. If you don't take me, I'm just not gonna be able to see him anymore." So she had this thing of, I have to see my husband, I have to save my husband, I want to be with my husband.
She wouldn't take no for an answer.
So it's same thing as Laila. See? And so what happens here is that the man finally let the woman be in the boat, and the woman is carrying this package with something, and usually they would bring something that is valuable, right? Money, gold, whatever it was, gold, usually gold. And when they're in the middle of the ocean at night, like almost like dawn, everybody's sleeping in the boat, and then he asked her to like, oh, something fell in the water, please pick it up. And she goes to look what it is, and he comes and hit her on the head and then throws her into the water. So she gets
he killed her.
He killed her, but also she gets to be drowned. She drowned.
The
exactly.
fear of water.
And so that was her fear. Her granddaughter's fear was the fear of that grandma who died.
Who drowned.
Who drowned. And so when they healed that, because they brought to the constellation the perpetrator and grandma. But listen what happened in this story. And it happens in constellations as well.
All the time.
Grandma didn't want to forgive the perpetrator. She had anger. It's like, no, I'm not going to forgive you because he killed her. And it's like it was a betrayal as well, which was the betrayal that Laila was living also with men. With her husband. And so in the constellation work, sometimes some ancestors don't want to forgive. But if you are a descendant and you're seeing the scene of what happened, you can create the reconciliation. And you can say, I see what happened here, and I include you. You today can do that reconciliation. Yes.
You have it in your power.
You have it in your power. So what do you think?
I think it was wonderful. I love how it correlated to the past to understand the future, so there you can heal and transcend it. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it was just so beautiful, like to see the way everything connected, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and this is and to see how our past absolutely influence our present.
Yes. And just to close this program, I want to talk about Salmon. Salmon was the therapist because
Oh,
he also has his story. He said that his his
gifted man.
grandma, his grandma um, came from another country, one of those around that area, with grandpa and their children, and her children and her husband died or were killed, any of those. And the only thing she could bring with her in her hand was one seed of olive. It was an olive seed. And when she came to this new land, which is where he lives, where the whole movie happens, she said that she honored her ancestors, everybody who died, and planted that seed. And then she found a new husband, Grandpa, which is Simon's grandfather, and they planted that seed, and that seed was like a whole field of olives. So during the movie, there is a moment where one of those olive trees is not producing, let's say, healthy fruits.
Mhm.
And so he comes to watch the tree, and then Ada was present when he was talking to her and says, "Well, I cannot fix, I cannot fix this, the branches. I cannot fix the leaves. I cannot fix the fruits because I only get to see one part of the tree, but what is sick is in the roots."
Yes. I thought that was such a powerful statement.
Yes, so he brought a
The
shovel,
shovel?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and um and found the root, let's say that was sick, and kind of puts this sort of liquids of elements or whatever to kill this root, this
Mm-hmm.
part of the root, not the whole
Mm-hmm.
tree, just one part, the sick root,
The part that was sick, yes.
which is those unresolved memories. And once he did that, the whole tree, of course, renewed and start giving again new fruits.
Yes. It was beautiful.
It was so beautiful just for you to know that sometimes we are trying to fix things outside of us in what we see, but it's not there.
It's in.
It's within,
It's within.
in within our ancestral roots. That's where we need to heal our fruits and what we want to manifest
Mm-hmm.
in the roots.
So definitely watch the series.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's
So
very
definitely watch the
it's
series.
it's worth watching.
It's worth watching. So we just wanted to share this with
Yeah, yeah,
you
because it was
today.
yeah.
Yes, so if you haven't seen the series, watch it and then watch again this so you will understand better everything that we spoke today about and how family constellations work and can serve you transcend your past. And I see here Janet Lee was present and she was saying that betrayal and abandonment, you have betrayal and abandonment issues. Yes, Janet, that I'm an expert in that too.
Yeah.
So
That
we
one
are
is
all
a
healing.
common one.
Even Salmon had an issue with this son. It
Mhm.
doesn't show in the movie, but he has issues because we all do. The important thing here is to identify which one is yours and transcend it so you can facilitate the way for the new descendants that are coming and also for the system of life. Because when you heal, you heal
Yeah.
your family system and that resonates, like that kind of like bring, a new destiny, not only for you, your system, but also for the descendants and for the system of life.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. So,
Oh wow, it was nice. Thank you,
yeah.
Maya. It was great. We had a lot of fun. We have to see what we're gonna do tonight. But
Yes.
so thank you so much for joining us as Maya analyzed that series, which was great. And look at it so you can see what relates to you.
Yes, definitely. We kind of like want to encourage you
Yeah.
to go watch it tonight or this
Have
weekend.
we said it enough? I'm like, have we said it enough?
Yes. Thank you for those
Yeah,
hearts in
thank you so much.
Instagram.
Yeah, and for joining us faithfully every Friday. We so are so grateful and appreciate each and every one of you.
Yes, definitely. And also for the people who is in Facebook and also in YouTube, we are sending you all our love and our blessings and thank you so much. Oh, in Netflix, Solly Jason, you're asking, it's in Netflix. It's called Another Self in English or Mi Otra Yo in Spanish. And because the name is very strange, it's just like I think it's in Turkish, I guess. In
Yeah, in Turkish, yeah.
Yeah, but it's called Another Self in Netflix,
Mhm.
or Mi Otra Yo in Spanish.
In Spanish, yes.
Yes, yes, yes. All right, my dear. So it was
Bye
a
bye.
pleasure, as always, to be with
Yes.
you tonight. We love you and thank you so much for being present. Another self. Yes, that's it. You got it.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. All right, everyone. So I don't know. Am I
Well,
forgetting something?
well,
Yes,
first of all, like always, share it,
please.
hit the like,
Yes.
and tomorrow we're gonna do part two if you're interested
Yes.
in the
Thank you,
in the
Janet.
program
What would I do without Janet? See?
Family Constellation. Also, let's mention the book, because even
Of,
though we were talking about
of
something else,
course, of course.
you know, the book Alchemy for the Soul. Okay, I
Mhm.
always say buy the book, buy the book, buy the book. And it's, you read the book, you look at the movie, at the series, you're gonna, oh, the light bulb
Yes.
is gonna hit. So you definitely will appreciate that.
Yes.
So but tomorrow we are having part two of the 8 modules.
Yes. I so we have, for the ones that don't know, we have a training program on family constellations. And actually, here, if you are in YouTube or on Facebook, the name is here, systemichealinginstitute.com. Like if you decide to go deeper in your own healing, and maybe eventually after doing this process, you might be able to help others because you will be certified to facilitate others as well. And so you are going to be going very deep in your journey of ancestral healing, just as as you will be able to see in this series that we were watching today. You will be able to live that experience many times. So you will, it's like recycling the whole thing,
Yes,
and
yes.
then coming new. So we invite you, if you decide that it's something that you might like doing, you can join us. We start tomorrow. It's the whole weekend from 9 to 6,
Yes.
Saturday and Sunday. And tomorrow's module is about the transgenerational, of course. And we are going to be talking a little bit about cosmology as well. It's like, what is our origin? What are we doing here today? What is that process of the human and where we are, which is the transcendence of the past and the ancestors that affect us today, that we can actually recreate a new possibility to live in a new consciousness, the so-called 5D, right? But we need to transcend the past in order to get there. So if you want or you feel called to it, welcome. And we're going to be talking about many of those parts of history that still affect us today, like slavery and Inquisition and all of these memories of history that still apply in our lives, like you wouldn't think, but yes, it does, because we are carrying all the memories of history. So, yeah, how does that affect you? That's the question.
So, yeah, I would say definitely DM Maya. You can go into the system or DM Maya, and she goes, you can see the information, or she'll send you the information.
Yes, yes, yes. All right. So I guess we said
We
it all.
already,
Yes.
So
So we
bye bye
say
to everyone. That's true.
hugs and sending love to you, and we'll
Absolutely.
see you next Friday.
Next Friday. Bye,
Yes.
everyone.
Bye.